Good evening, friends. Myself, Dr.Nidhi Darbari, on My Education Treasure. In my previous video on MImansa philosophy, I had discussed about perception as a source of knowledge of MImansa. Today, in my present video, I am going to discuss about the non-perceptual sources of knowledge, that is comparison of MImansa philosophy. Are there non perceptual sources of knowledge? What are they? Non perceptual sources of knowledge. In addition to perception, there are five more valid non perceptual sources of knowledge admitted by MImansa, namely inference or anuman, comparison or upman, authority or testimony or shabd, postulation or arthapatti, and non-perception or anuplabdhi. The last source of knowledge is accepted only by Komaral Bhatt school of Mimamsa and not by Prabhakar school of Mimamsa. That is, Prabhakar reject non-apprehension or anuplabdhi as a source of valid knowledge. The Mimamsa theory of inference is more or less similar to that of Nyaya. We shall discuss the five non-perceptual sources of knowledge one by one. Comparison. After Nyaya, Mimamsa accepts comparison as an independent source of knowledge. According to Nyaya, we get valid knowledge of an object by comparing it with what is already known. The Nyaya philosophy admits comparison as a unique source of knowledge. But the Mimamsa, though accepting comparison as an independent source, accept it in quite a different sense. According to it, knowledge arises from comparison when, on perceiving a present object to be like an object, is like a perceived one. Some examples will make it clear. On seeing a rat, one perceives that it is like a mouse perceived in the past, and hence he gets the knowledge that the remembered mouse perceived in the past is like this rat. It is obtained from comparison or from the knowledge of the similarity of rat to the mouse. Similarly, one who has seen a cow previously at home goes to forest and finds a gavyai nilgai and perceives its similarity to the cow at home. He may thence obtain by comparison, that is, by the knowledge of this similarity, the further knowledge that the cow at home is like the gavyai. That is, we understand the new object through comparing it with what is already known by us. Here Mimamsa differs from Nyaya school of philosophy. To the Mimamsa, we do not get knowledge of the new object from the knowledge of similarity that exists between this and the object and the known object, but we get the knowledge of similarity that is there between the object that is seen and the remembered object. Such knowledge cannot be classed under the perception, for the object, like mouse or cow, known to be similar is not perceived them. It does not come under memory because though the object was perceived in the past, its similarity to the present object was not then known, and therefore this similarity can be said to be simply remembered. It is not also an inference from the knowledge this gavyai is like the cow at home. We cannot infer the cow at home is like this gavyai unless we have another premises, like all things are similar to other things which are similar to them, and such a universal premise containing and an invariable concomitance between two terms is really used in the above case, where one arises at the knowledge of the absent cow's similarity to the present gavyai from the perception of gavyai being similar to the cow. Again, such knowledge does not obviously arise from verbal testimony or authority. Hence, it is given an independent place. For example, the Nyaya philosophy holds that on learning from an authority when we see a new object, namely a gaviai or wild fox, is like a cow. A person goes to the forest, perceived some animal like the cow, and thence he has by upman or comparison the knowledge that such an animal is gaviai. So we derive knowledge of a new object by comparing it with what has already been known. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it with others and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Against this Nyaya view, it is pointed out by the MImansa writers that the knowledge that the particular animal perceived is like the cow is derived from the perception, and the knowledge that such an animal looking like a cow is a gaviai is obtained through recollection of what was previously learned from some other authority. Lastly, the knowledge that this particular animal is a mere inference from the last knowledge. Hence, what the Nyaya philosophy considers to be derived from a new source, namely comparison, is not really so. It may be noted that here that though the count given above is the one generally accepted by Mimamsakas, Sabaraswamy seems to understand Upman as what is called in Western logic analogical argument. The existence of another self is proved. He remarks by an argument like this: just as you felt the existence of your own self. Similarly, by analogy, one can believe that others also feel the existence of their own self. Such an argument he calls Upman. His definition of Upman as knowledge of an unperceived object as being similar to some known object is not incompatible with the suggestion that he takes Upman as analogical argument. It should also be remembered that similarity, which is the object of Upman, is regarded by Mimamsa as an independent category of reality. It is pointed out that similarity cannot be called a quality or gun because a quality cannot be possessed by another quality, but similarity is possessed by qualities. Even it cannot be treated as universal samyanjali because universal means something which is exactly identical in many individuals. For example, cowness in cows. Similarity does not mean any completely identical character. But the same example will be understood by Mimamsa differently. To them, when we compare the ox with the cow that is already known, we derive the knowledge of similarity that exists between the two. This source of knowledge is independent and cannot be classed under perception or inference as done by other schools of philosophy except Nyaya. The knowledge of similarity is the new cognition here, and that it is not derived from any other source of knowledge according to Mimamsa. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.